This is Marilyn Lohman, Surface Hydrologist at WFO Pendleton. I'll be showing some slides of the current snowpack conditions and the expected water supply for the rest of spring and summer. Measurements of the snow water equivalent, or amount of water being held in the snowpack, were taken on April 1st for the various basins across the state of Washington. From this map, produced by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, amounts were near normal over the lower Snake Basin, including southeast Washington, as well as the upper Yakima Basin, and there were amounts near 125% of normal for the lower Yakima Basin. The snowpack has remained nearly steady over the past month, and we'll look at some individual stations within these areas. These charts show the snow water equivalent, or water held in the snow, for the water year October through September. The blue line is the maximum observed, while the red line is the minimum, with the green being the average. Using these charts, we can see how the snow water equivalent compares and accumulates through the winter, and also compare it to normal. The Tushy Snowtail site is in the Walla Walla Basin, around 5,500 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that this site saw accumulations throughout much of the month, but appears to have started melting and remains near normal. The Sassy Ridge Snowtail site is located in the upper Yakima Basin at 4,200 feet. Looking at the black line, this site saw some small accumulations throughout the month and continues to be near normal. The Bumping Ridge Snowtail is at elevation 4,600 feet in the central Washington Cascades. Looking at the black line, this site saw some small but somewhat steady accumulations of snow through March and continues to be near normal as the spring melt season begins. Across the Oregon portion of our forecast area, looking at the snow water equivalent map from the NRCS, as of April 1st, the snowpack has remained fairly steady over the last month, with most locations seeing near normal snowpack. The lower elevations have been melting and are showing a declining snowpack, but remain near their seasonal curves. We'll look at the individual sites across the region in the next several slides. In the lower Deschutes, Columbia Basin area, Clear Lake Snowtail is at an elevation of 3,500 feet. Looking at the black line, the current year observation, this is a fairly low elevation site, and it still remained fairly steady through the first part of the month, and then had an increase and remained at that level through the end of the month and is now decreasing. At a higher elevation from the Cascades, the Mount Hood test site is at 5,400 feet, and it continues to see accumulations through much of March, but remains slightly below normal. For the upper Deschutes Basin, the Three Creek Meadows Snowtail site is at about 5,600 feet. Looking at the solid black line, we can see that this site had some small increases at mid-month and appears to have peaked and is trending downward. For the John Day Basin, looking at the Blue Mountain Springs site at 5,900 feet, this site had some increases through mid-month and now is decreasing quite steadily. For the Umatilla Basin in the Blue Mountains, the High Ridge site is at 4,900 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see this site continued to see accumulation through March, appears to have peaked near the end of the month, and like many others is starting to decrease, but remains slightly above normal. In the Grand Ronde Valley, the Moss Springs Snowtail site is at 5,800 feet. Looking at the black line, this site saw good accumulation through much of March and is starting to show some decrease in the snowpack, but remains above normal. The Northwest River Forecast Center uses Ensemble Streamflow Prediction, or ESP generated forecasts, as the official water supply method. The 30-year runoff normals covering the years 1981 to 2010 are being used. New ESP forecasts will be published on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website daily. For updated forecasts and more information on ESP forecasts, please see the River Forecast Center's website at the address given. This map from the Northwest River Forecast Center shows a snapshot of the water supply forecast for the coming season. We can see that most of Northeast Oregon is expected to see 75 to 90% of normal water supply, with 90 to 125% of normal water supply expected in South Central and Southeast Washington. On the whole, the Columbia Basin is generally expected to see near to slightly above normal water supply. We'll look at several stations within the area for a little more detail. For the Yakima River system, we'll look at the Yakima River near Parker. Looking at the plot, the solid green line is the 30-year normal. The box plots show the entire range of forecast values, with the blue dot, the 50th percentile, our most likely value. We'll be using the 50th percentile and comparing it to normal. The volume forecast for the Yakima River near Parker for the period April through September is still expected to be a little bit above normal at 120% of normal. The forecasted volume of water, the blue dot, for the Grand Ronde River near Troy is expected to be slightly below normal at 88%. These forecasts take into account the forecasted precipitation for the next 10 days and then normal precipitation throughout the rest of the period. For the Umatilla River at Pendleton, for the period April through September, the volume forecast has remained fairly steady between 80 to 90% of normal. This forecast takes into account normal precipitation expected to occur through the rest of the period. The Columbia River at the Dells can be an indicator for the entire Columbia Basin. Once again, we see the average plotted in green with the most likely value, the blue dot. The volume for April through September period is currently expected to be right at normal. The previous plots and additional water supply locations are available in an interactive form on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at the address listed on the concluding slide. The 3-month outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for April, May, and June calls for above normal temperatures and near to below normal precipitation. The latest drought monitor shows continued improving conditions over Washington and Oregon, with D1 moderate drought confined to southeast Oregon, and only drier than normal conditions left over the area. Conditions and impacts from the drought are assessed weekly for both short and long-term drought conditions and impacts. For more information on unseasonably dry and drought conditions both here in the Northwest and across the country, please visit the National Integrated Drought Information System webpage at the address listed above. You can view the drought monitor, look at current and forecast conditions, as well as impacts from the drought and resources relating to drought. Please join me again in May for an update on the snowpack and expected water supply conditions. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please contact me by phone or email as listed on the slide. Thank you.